Gotta dance it out, okay?
Yeah.
How many podcasts have you watched of ours up to this point? Any?
Yeah, probably a dozen.
Yeah?
Oh, good.
Have you seen all of ours?
That's 12 more than my wife.
Sarah.
Neri, you suck. Come on.
Come on,
Get in here.
She cooked on Mother's Day.
Every day
What does she do?
give her a hard time.
I know.
Every day Hugo sees her. Same thing.
We're gonna. I'm gonna go over to your house and we're just gonna sit there and watch. We're gonna binge our podcast in front of her.
and just make her
gonna
watch
be
it.
Too bad, Neri.
Yeah.
Everybody, welcome to podcast number 44. And I can't believe that we've done so many of these already.
That's nuts.
It is nuts, but it's awesome at the same time. I'll tell you about our sponsor. You ready? You ready for the sponsor? Diamond Wax. Since 1966, Diamond Wax has been a foundational part of their community, centrally located minutes from downtown at 407 William Avenue. Recognized by the Better Business Bureau, Diamond Wax is a one-stop shop for all your cleaning and sanitation supplies. The products are industrial commercial strength, and they are equipped to handle the needs of all types of businesses as well as residential. Some of the products they sell are sanitizer, toilet paper, paper towels, disinfectant, and even vacuums, amongst a large list of others. Call Roth or Dan, both members here, at 204-943-3455 to inquire about product availability and make arrangements for pickup or delivery. I imagine these gentlemen are billionaires now.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
You would think, right?
I just texted him because we need paper towels.
Oh, did
so
ya?
we'll see what kind of response. And actually, to backtrack a little bit, we were talking about Olofsson and Jones. So I texted them, and we do this with some of our sponsors. We text them and see what kind of response rate, right? And we brag about them, right? That they get back to us pretty quick.
Yeah.
I forgot to come back to it, but she got back to me within 10 minutes.
Oh, did she?
Then, because I didn't respond later in the day, she's like, what do you want to know? And I'm like, oh, sorry. You know what? I totally forgot that we're doing this thing. So yeah.
You passed the test and we failed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, anyways, let's talk about our guest today.
Yes.
One of our members. I'm sure everybody watching recognizes your pretty face. Our guest today is a member of the Fit Fam, and as of yesterday, completed her 400th workout. Hell yeah! Has been married to Bruce, aka Mr. Meat, for 17 years. Has a 14-year-old son named Declan. 1999, it was discovered that she had a brain tumor the size of an egg and underwent major surgery and rehab because of it. Wow. Professionally, she works in the financial industry and has done so for 20 years. Isn't it crazy that we've done anything for 20 years?
Yeah,
I know.
nuts.
This lady enjoys eating cold peas from a can and has a tendency to yawn when she's nervous. I haven't seen her yawn yet, so I don't think she's nervous.
I'm waiting for this one.
Yeah. She proclaims to be able to belch like a trucker, and her nickname is Care Bear. Everybody, let's welcome Mrs. Carrie McWhinney. Whew.
Can we start with the man meat? What does that mean?
Let's get into
first?
this.
Man meat.
I think you should lie about this and just give us
Yeah.
a better answer.
Is it-
Is Bruce watching? Is Bruce?
Bruce, are you on? Who's on?
I'm not sure if Bruce is on. So it might be Uncle Meat. I might have I think it's Uncle Meat, but I think we have so many fake nieces and nephews.
Okay.
And
Why is that?
I don't.
Because you're not
we
Filipino.
we have lots of friends.
Okay.
And then their kids will what do I call you? And you're like, you can call him Uncle.
Okay.
Well, Bruce is like Uncle Meat
Okay.
or Mr. Meat. So like these little kids will come up to him, and I've always thought it had to do with sponge hockey days or his schlong or something.
That's exactly what I thought.
We
I was
were
like,
waiting
oh,
for that.
boy.
When I typed that,
Let's see it.
yeah. So Moose Meat or Uncle Meat. And he told me yesterday. He said that one of it there's an album cover with that name on it, and one of his favorite artists. So I was kind of like, phew. Unless he's fibbing, I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
What's the psychology behind the whole uncle and auntie thing? Like, why do you guys all insist that Jet call me Uncle Rick?
I'll say
what is the
I'll
reasoning
say
behind
call somebody uncle if like you're a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then like I consider you a family member.
So that's like a
what it
respect
means
thing?
to me. But in the Filipino community, everybody's uncle.
Oh, is that how it
right?
is?
Everybody's a godparent. That's what I was asking you. So
Yeah.
like Jerome is
Yeah.
Tito Boy, right? That's
Yeah.
So Tito Boy is like probably the man meat, right? And when you're in the Filipino community, they have these christenings, and there's like 1,000 godparents there.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, and I looked that up actually,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, okay, so if I'm a godparent for this person, does that mean that I'm responsible for that kid? No. Child Family Services, both parents were to die. Child Family Services go to your house, or they take the child, and then they assess who is the appropriate person to take this person, not based around your alignment in
Right.
being a godparent. So
like I have a godparent, but I became one to my buddy Sean's kid, Kanisa.
mm-hmm.
And when we went to her christening, there was like 11 godparents. I'm like, what am I here for? Like, I thought this is my responsibility. Everybody's a godparent.
Yeah.
Just so you get that check, Kanisa, that yearly gift from your godparent. What a racket. What a racket. Hey, you got a big connection to the Blue Bombers.
I do.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I do. Well, my last name, McQuinney, that's my married name.
McQuinney.
McQuinney. Not
How do you spell it?
Not McQuinney. Not McWhinney.
I call you McWhiney. That's
what
McQuinney.
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 McWhinney.
McQuinney.
I know.
McQuinney.
I thought there was a Q in there.
Yeah, it sounds like a Q.
But
okay, go on.
There's not. So, I've married into the McQuinney family. My father-in-law, who's been not with us anymore, but he's an alumni Blue Bomber. And one of Bruce's brothers, Bruce is the baby of 5, and one of his brothers is one of the keepers of the Grey Cup, which is really fun and kind of neat because Declan will often have the Grey Cup at his birthday party, or we're toting it around somewhere.
That's wicked.
Yeah, there's a lot of trivia. There's a lot of history that goes along with it, and we're pretty proud of that. So.
Yeah. Well, I see every picture almost of you. You're always repping Bomber gear. It seems like you and the whole family. So, no.
Yeah.
You guys watch a lot of games. Like, are you a big part of the Bombers thing now, or are you just married into it, so you're a Bomber fan?
You know what? We got married. We actually got married at the Blue and Gold Room at the old stadium.
In Polo Park, that stadium.
Yeah,
yeah.
We got wedding pictures done on the field, and the guys got the guys got to kick field goals, and it was really it was fun.
That's awesome.
It was fun. Yeah. So we watch all the games.
Okay.
We don't go to all of them. We went to the Grey Cup this year, which was fantastic. I don't know.
Yeah.
The team is just the last couple of years we're really into it.
I remember the old stadium. What I liked about it was the ramp. Remember the ramp that
you
just herded the cattle up and then you herded the cattle down, and it just seemed like to never end this thing. I remember that.
That's where it started for me, actually. The whole this type of training was in the Bomber Stadium, and we used to get people to, those gators that they would drive, the athletes and stuff. We would get our athletes to push that thing all the way up there, and we used to make the guys run. We'd run the stadium stairs.
So how did you get access to that?
The guy that I was coaching for, he rented the space. The Bombers had this small little dungeon weight room. It was awesome. I remember working out next to Kevin Glenn.
Yeah.
And I was I'm 22. And I'm this is awesome. I'm gonna do with all these Bombers. I know every single one of these guys, and just talking to them. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Something intimidating that actually this is true. One year I got to go in one of their charity golf tournaments. And I literally had to tee off in front of Matt Dunnigan.
Oh yeah.
Talk about
he's a pretty intimidating guy.
That's my mom's
He
crush.
Smells good. Oh my god.
And he's got a good ass.
He's amazing. He's awesome.
He looks good in slacks.
Then so it was kind of one of those moments where you're just like, God, I hope I don't miss this ball or break my club or something. It was good.
Oh, perfect.
I was solid, yeah.
So Carrie, before we go into depth, we just want to know who's tuning in right now. We got 29 people live. That's quite a bit of people. So we'd like to know who is here, who is supporting Carrie. And I would like to know, do we have any questions for her? Because when you jump on the show, there is no vanilla answers.
No.
There is no politics. You don't get an opportunity to think. So I do have a question for you.
True.
And we've gotten some. The other day we had questions that women had for men.
Okay.
So now we've gotten some questions from men for women. Okay. Let's just start it off nice and easy for you. Okay. So what really is the quality women look for in a man? And again, it's your opinion. It's not, you're not speaking for all women.
I'm going to say probably honesty is a big one. Being an honest gentleman.
Okay.
Would be another
So what's a gentleman? Opening doors and chivalry?
Stuff like that for sure.
Okay.
And my husband rocks that.
So Man Meat does that.
Man Meat does that. Uncle Meat does that.
Yeah.
Just and some people might think it's old fashioned, but I don't know. There's just, he's not too proud to, hold the door open or, compliment you that you look nice or
Good.
something like that. So
Yeah,
an
I think
an
that's
honest
a
gentleman.
standard action that men should do.
My mom actually trained me very well. She always said, even when I was a boy, I couldn't even open a door yet, but she would stand there and wait for me to open that door.
really?
For her. And
Aw.
now, Jen does the same thing. So
Okay, so chivalry is still
Sure,
alive,
I think so.
and to be an honest person. How honest do you want somebody to be?
Oh, that's
there's a good question right there. Do you like brutal honesty, or do you just want to hear? Do women like to hear what they want to hear, or do you want to hear what you don't want to hear?
well, women can be nuts, like for sure about that stuff. So
Like, fill us in.
I don't know.
We're still confused.
Yeah.
Like the guy watched porn. Would you want to know that?
Another good. Well, you're just coming up with the great questions, man.
like,
Here we
Sure.
go.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you probably want to know. I
Okay.
think that's okay. If it's getting creepy or weird.
Define creepy or weird.
I know
What genre is a no-go?
I know a couple, and she told me, and this is probably not healthy, but they used to watch porn next to each other. So like the guy, she would just be sleeping or whatever. All of a sudden, the bed would be shaking, and she's like, "Are you jerking off?" And it was normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she
I don't
would
see
do
that
this-
as a
she would do the same
abnormal
thing.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
she'd just be laying
Some
in
people
bed,
have very
on his phone, and all of a sudden she whips
open-
out her vibrator and she starts going at it. Like,
Sure.
You can't be anti-porn now because it's everywhere. You know what I mean? I feel like it's part of our culture now. It was taboo back in the day, but now we're a very sexualized group of people as a society. So
TV is almost porn.
It
now.
is. It kind of
Yeah.
is. I mean, geez, man, you watch these Netflix shows, and it doesn't come up on my algorithm because I don't really like watching TV shows about teenagers. But when they do come up, man, the things that girls are wearing, I don't think they look like that when I was younger. But
Well, look at that Archie one, right?
Archie.
Riverdale.
Oh yeah. I
That's
haven't
pretty
watched
sexual.
It, but-
I've watched a little bit of it. Every time somebody's got their shirt off or they're in a bikini or you know what I mean? And
You're
that
talking
was
like Archie.
yeah.
Which Archie?
So they made a TV show called Riverdale.
Oh,
You never,
This
you
is
never knew
now?
that?
And it's based on Archie,
based
like
on the
comics?
Archie comics. Yeah. So it's like a
Okay.
mature teen kind of. I didn't really get into it, but it's what's the one with the wolf and the vampire?
Yeah, Twilight.
Twilight. So it's kind of like that
yeah.
Twilight. You know what I mean? Okay. So okay, good. So let's.
Before you go, what I love about those shows is how they take like a 25-year-old,
Yeah.
and he's the 18-year-old actor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's how it's always been.
Yeah, I know. Like I remember 90210. That was my era. These guys were my age. I'm like, why are you 30? And I look like I'm 12, man. It was so confusing for me, you know.
And no wonder they were cool.
Yeah, and the words they say, they're all polished with what
Demeanor.
they can say in big words. I'm like, man, jeez. There's something wrong with me for sure.
Yeah, those were
Gave me
our
a
idols.
complex.
Yeah, we were 12. They were 35.
Exactly. But we're the same age technically. What else you got?
Okay,
there?
so what do you think is the difference between a man and a woman?
What's the difference between a man and a woman?
That could probably be a 2-hour
Ooh.
podcast, but give us a few points.
Yeah.
Do
Do women fart?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like as if
Do
they
women
don't.
fart in front of men?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh.
Okay.
I feel like I'm betraying the yayars. So you guys are. I'm getting nervous now. No.
She gonna start yawning.
It's true. It's true. I think sometimes it takes a while
Yeah.
for people to be that comfortable, but
Okay.
it's human nature.
I personally feel like it's flattering if you're that comfortable to do it. I don't think it's gross.
Okay, what about going to the washroom? Specifically, we always talk about poop, and I think
Yeah.
everybody's got that.
Yeah,
Women's length of time on the toilet.
Well,
taking
you're
a
really
poop
starting off the tough
versus a
questions,
man.
eh?
Yeah.
We're warming up.
This
What is the length?
this is
Because I try not
hilarious.
to. try not to time
No.
Mary.
This is funny, and my sister isn't tuning in right now, but she will. And I mean, a couple people know my sister, but she's like the fastest pooper on the planet.
Okay.
Like she doesn't even shut the door; she just goes in,
Yeah.
comes out.
Yeah.
Goes
And
out.
we're like, a false alarm? She's like, oh no, it was good.
Yeah.
That
This
could
is
be
your
good if you
sister?
eat
That's
good.
my sister.
I'm like your sister.
That's my
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah.
Just in and out.
Yeah.
In our home, I mean, we kind of, I don't know. Bruce always has to go downstairs. It's just the guy. It's just
He's got
use
his
that
throne.
bathroom. Yeah.
You got it.
He's got his throne. That's where he goes, and Declan's in there forever. But he's 14, so.
How do you feel? Declan, Mr. Declan, how do you feel about public bathrooms? You okay with it?
I will use them absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we got Shelly on. Shelly says hello.
What up, Shelly Socks?
Shelly Socks. Ashley Kapner is on. If you're on, let us know. And Shelly says the difference between the man and the woman is the size of the brain. I think there's some truth to that.
Tell her to elaborate on that.
The men have bigger brains,
Tell her-
but women utilize more of the brain. Is what I can recall.
In some
Men have
animals.
bigger brains?
Yeah,
Oh,
we have actually bigger mass size of
Yeah.
brains, but we actually utilize less of it.
I'd say that's right.
Yeah. I mean, look at the size of our domes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's keep going here. Last question here. You
What else
ready?
you got? This toilet seat?
How common is it for women to lie about an orgasm?
That's a money question right there.
I would say extremely common.
Damn it.
I mean, they make movies, like it's in every 10th movie.
Yeah. You think that's
It's not that hard.
Yeah. Do you think God was unfair with that? You know, like why do guys
Yeah, do you-
always get off?
Yeah,
but
we
girls
always get off.
rarely do. Apparently, what is
I
that?
don't know. That's just that's a big difference between men and women in their physiological makeup, I suppose.
So would you say that men are less high strung than women?
That's a great
Like if you had
question.
10 dudes in here and you had 10 women in here, do you think that more women would be more high strung than more men in that room?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
So it's probably because we get off more.
Yeah.
There you go. Possibly.
Maybe it's a little easier. Yeah, I don't know.
Mr. Meat. You got him to get in there.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get the boy. Get your son in here. With him and his crazy hormones going on right now. See what kind of answers
exactly.
he would put it there.
Oh, yesterday we Jet. So Jet is cool in the shower now. Before he was terrified. Fun. Like I guess my wife went into the shower one time and we had these like glass doors now. You know, like the new modern washrooms.
Yeah.
And he put his fingers in there and she closed it. So ever since then he's been terrified. Now he goes in the shower and I got one of those hand wand things, right? So he was just standing there in the corner and he's got it like spraying on his feet. And he was standing there in the corner and I'm like, hey, you okay? Like, what's going on? And eventually that shower head's gonna get a little
Tired.
and those showers are gonna get a little longer, right?
Well, I mean, and I'm not embarrassed to talk about this, but we used to family shower. We family showered for a
I
while.
shower with my kids all the time.
You
Yeah.
know?
So what's the appropriate age that you can do that up to?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question. It's that's a similar question to, how long do you breastfeed or anything like that. But
How long do you breastfeed?
I think it's however I did 11 months.
Okay.
And it was awesome because the second I stopped, I gained weight.
Yes.
So it was a great,
Periods come back.
yeah.
So if a kid is 2 years old, that's weird?
No.
No?
Oh, breastfeeding?
Yeah.
I you know what? I kind of leave that up to I try not to judge on that stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like whatever's right for the family.
Like I don't have kids, so these are always questions that I would never know.
Yeah.
I think 2 is the cutoff.
Like,
in my opinion.
Do you
What does
do
the
as a
audience
mom?
say?
You're like, okay, that's enough, or do you wait for the kid to be like, I'm done with you, or how
They'll
does
never
this
be
work?
done with it.
So how do you
No,
do
they
that?
won't.
No, you don't.
No?
Even now, we still want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
No, we're necessarily going for the milk, though. You know what I mean? Like there comes where
Yeah.
nature kicks off and
hey,
sex
if
kicks
you
in,
never
right?
lost the touch of that milk, I bet you would still want it.
Well, yeah. So how do you
It's such
cut
sweet
a kid
nectar.
off? I guess that's a mother's decision, or
Yeah.
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 But it's
we,
not
we
across the board.
abruptly
You gotta
cut
work
Jet
on
off,
it.
and he was pretty upset for a while.
Oh yeah.
And I think he still kind of struggles with it, and I think that's why a lot of
Yeah.
guys have a booby infection, like or
That's a good
what's
point.
what's a word?
It's like a
Fascination.
fascination.
Yeah, as you get older, right?
Yeah. My hairdresser, when she's got 2 children and she breastfed quite a while, she would just take a trip. Like she was like, just here's the kid, gives her husband the child, then she's like, see you, and I'm
Yeah.
going to Japan.
Oh, really?
See you in 3 weeks.
That's probably the best
It just
way,
cuts it
honestly.
right
Like
off, yeah.
with my kids, and my kids would be a lot different if they're raised by me. You know what I mean? Like, Nary's such a great nurturer. She's, for me, I'm like, there was something stuck in Jet's hair the other day, and I just grabbed his hair and I ripped it right off. I said, Nary, we got to pull the Band-Aid. She goes, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, how's your head? Are you okay? And I'm like, oh yeah, that was probably pretty bad. That probably hurt.
And that's the
pretty
difference between men and women, right there.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's another one.
Yeah.
So we got some audience. So Ariane says, this is perfect. Kids are cut off after 16 months. That's her standpoint on it.
Yeah.
Shelly says 1 bite and you start thinking about quitting.
Good point.
Oh, like when the teeth come in.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, the
Oh,
teeth
yeah,
and the
yeah,
chompers.
for sure.
When
Yeah,
the
it's
teeth- and
exactly.
when
Can you
you
what
imagine
you're
that?
talking
You're milking.
Cannot imagine
You're
that.
half asleep and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
right? Like that wouldn't be a fun experience.
When do teeth come in as a kid? You know?
Depends on the kid. Like Kai's got a full mouth right now. He's only like 13
Wow.
months. Yeah.
So in a year.
Like
about
Jet,
a year.
yeah.
Okay.
Everything is accelerated with Kai. Like Kai is standing, he's taking steps.
Wow.
Whereas it took Jet almost 2 years, and Kai's like almost saying words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
But
neat.
yeah.
So you got a 14-year-old son.
Yep.
We were talking about that off camera. What's he like as a youngster? You told me he just started working out now. Worrying about his hair.
Worrying about his hair. He's an only child, which is something Bruce and I met and got married, had children, or had Declan a little later.
Okay.
So with him, he's very considerate. Something else about going back to thinking about what you really are attracted to in a man. So thinking about Declan and becoming really taking care of your mom, liking your family. So Declan, we're kind of training him, raising him that way to be gentleman and
So how do you do that?
So
give me an example of how do you train somebody to be a gentleman?
I know. From a really early age, just anytime we would have a family event, it was very important that he would go and greet each person, always reminding him, like, look somebody in the eye when you talk to them so that they know you're talking to them, you're listening to them. He would always put his arm out for my mother-in-law, like to grab his arm, and he would help her walk to the car and stuff like that. So just some things like, listen to your teacher.
Yeah.
Don't talk back if you can help it.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm working on with Jed is so that he doesn't become a hardened individual. You know what I mean? So if he gets taught from me, it's going to be military. So I'm trying to we still kiss on the lips, and I still want to kiss at night, and I go get him to say, and then the other day Rick was over and I said we don't sit down together, but we're praying. You know what I mean? And so that's important because I'm the staple of that, of spirituality in my whole family.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I think it would just kind of get put on the back burner. And that's important for that he grows up with that to me and having that respect, and also just being able to be vulnerable. Like, this kid wants to cry, I don't tell him to shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a point where okay, enough, but I let him express his emotions. The other day we had a lady here, and she was talking about why is it that men aren't allowed to express their feelings? When did it become socially acceptable that men cannot cry? And that's one thing that I really respect about a lot of my mentors. I actually went through this whole who do you respect, and with the coach, and I said I respect this individual because of his transparency and vulnerability. Because it's why can't guys cry? Why do we have to be the tough ones and take everything and then hold everything in? And why do you think guys explode? Right?
Why do you think they explode? And then why do you think sometimes just communication shuts off?
Yeah.
So if you're a little more vulnerable, you can have conversations. We're super touchy-feely.
Yeah.
By the way, we don't still family shower. I said family shower, and I'm like, Declan's 14. No.
We figured as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mom, it's shower time. 2 p.m.
No, now it's no, door locked, door closed.
Yeah.
Did he sleep in the same bed with you?
No.
No? You're right to the crib, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Getting to the man thing. Are you done with that question?
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Getting to the man thing with respect to why we don't communicate or why we have troubles. It's the way we're communicated too. If you want to get a man to talk, you can't just say, "What's the matter? Talk to me," right? We don't respond to that because it's well, what do you want to know, right? Because we're guys. Ask me a specific question, and I'll ask it to you.
Yeah.
So what I've learned is that in order to get a man to communicate, and this is one of the things that I've started to do as a coach when I'm, especially with the male members, is off the blue, we try to connect with our members, that, and so whenever I make an effort with the guys, I just try to, we like to make fun of each other. That's how guys bond, right?
Yeah.
And once you get the bonding out of the way, exactly, it's a lot of ribbing, and then you just ask a very specific question, and it's amazing. All guys will talk if you give them a specific question, but if you blanket statement, how are you feeling today?
Yeah.
It's I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
What language are you speaking right now? What do you want to know exactly? A two, So that was
and Rick's really
things.
good at that. It's Rick will ask you questions on questions. You're just shut up, Rick. Stop asking the right questions because I don't want to be talking right now. This is too vulnerable.
Can we just talk about the weather?
Small talk? Sports. Yeah, exactly.
So so there you go. So there's a psychology behind it. So why do guys fear talking about it? You give me from your point of view. You've been married for 17 years. So how do you get your man to open up once in a while, or does he or doesn't he?
Well,
is he a man's man? Lumberjack?
Does he grunt?
No.
Does he work in the garage all the time?
If he gets injured, does he just throw dirt on it, or does he go to the doctor?
He goes to the doctor.
He's a modern man. He's a modern man.
Yeah. I mean, he's in his own. He's a tough. He's muscles, tough guy, strong, but super sensitive at the same time. And I think anybody who knows us would
Have you ever seen him cry?
Rarely, actually.
And it's probably just to a movie.
I've never
Yeah.
seen I've never seen him throw up,
Okay.
and I've seen him cry like a handful of times, and he's really sensitive.
You've never seen him throw up?
Sensitive
I've
how?
never seen him throw up.
What does that mean? I'm curious.
Sensitive how? I know
Yeah.
there's a Rick, just get right in there. I think be able to share how he feels about something, or he'll analyze a lot of things too.
Okay.
Like if something happened at work and this didn't go this way,
Yeah.
then we can kind of have those meaningful conversations about how to fix something. Or we do a lot of planning in our family, so we always talk about, what's our goal for this year? What, where are we headed? What are we trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
So
Nice. He's a planner as well. So when you guys have your planning sessions, you're both on board and you're both engaging in it. Yeah, that's good.
He is a planner. Yeah.
I love a good game plan. You know what I mean? When I see Rick getting all organized and like we got a game plan set up, like it gives me a mini boner. Like I walk around with a business boner, I always say. And
Totally.
so
Zing.
Zinger. All right, so we got a couple of audience questions. Number one, Shelly wants to know from Rick, how are you?
Great.
How's work, Rick?
Work is great.
Yeah, and oh man, I can't
Which
see the other
one?
comments.
Which one, Shelly?
Shelly,
Can be more specific. Podcast, CSP, or coaching.
Yeah. How's Rick? And what was the other one? Shoot, I can't get it. Anyways, Jen King wants to know, has Man Meat ever seen you throw up?
Oh yes.
Are you
Absolutely.
a person that throws up?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how come you've never seen him? He
I
just
don't-
doesn't,
I-
or he
just
hides it from
does-
you?
He just doesn't.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. He's got some kind of weird human ability to not.
So he can
Mary's
get
seen me
lit right
throw
up and not barf the next morning?
Totally, yeah.
It's an interesting quality.
And Jesse
actually.
wants to know what's new.
Jesse, if you want to piss me off, ask me that question.
Did you see him in the workout yesterday? Did you see him in the
With his
workout?
pink pants?
Yeah, I
that was
love
awesome.
that.
And he
I would-
and he rocks them too.
Dude,
That's the
we
thing.
need
man.
to come in here as like Marty Jannetty. One time,
I
I
don't know
want
who that
to
is.
do the Rockers, the
Marty
Marty Jannetty, and what was the other guy's name with the high kicks? Come on, wrestling fans.
Oh, wrestling? I don't know. I'm not a wrestling guy.
Anyways, yeah, you remember how the wrestlers used to wear the tights, the very tights, and then the tassels, and very bright and
I
stuff
remember
like
that.
that. Yeah, we got to come and do that. We got to come in as wrestlers one time.
Like, so wearing what though? Like, where are you going
Well,
with this?
his pink pants,
Yeah.
like that, and then we have like a shirt that matched, like a see-through shirt, the holy
With our
ones,
nipples showing?
With our nipples showing, yeah.
Kind of like how you were wearing a sort of a thong over top of your shorts.
Yes.
I think you already do this, man.
Did you see
Every
that?
day.
Oh yeah.
That was a fun treat.
Yeah,
Did you have fun
it
with the
was
workout?
good.
The
The
funniest
workout
part
was
about
awesome.
yesterday's workout was Jen trying to stay focused because she's a very
Did you notice?
Shawn Michaels. Thank you. So Jen is a very like when she's in business mode, she's in business. She practices prior. Hey guys, let's go. And she's like, "We're get ready," and you know what I mean. Like she's got everything organized. Like Carlos is the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's grown into be where he is today. Like today, it's 6:55. Runs in, buenos dias, fit fam. and we're just like looking at him like, there's no way he's pulling this off. And we're not helping him. Like we're done, right? We're not like holding his hand anymore. I'm not
enabling
picking his
him.
music for him. I'm not setting up his timer. I'm not getting the mic ready. And there was just a lot of things that go on with this that you got to get here. Like it takes us.
Yeah.
I get here at minimum 15 minutes early. Rick gets to
30 minutes
to a show 30 minutes early.
Yeah.
And he just shows up and he got it done. And it was like, for me, Jen, like, because we're, what are you doing? If you watch the very beginning of our workout today, you would see a not impressed look.
All of you guys.
From
All
us
of you guys.
three. Like
Yeah.
we're just like this guy. And then he pulled it off. But the funny part about yesterday was Jen trying to stay focused and not look at me.
Well, and everybody's twerking and everybody's
Well,
doing
Did you see
weird
the one
shit.
part where Rick was twerking and then I saw it in the camera?
Slapping my ass.
Jerome's got the different angle
Oh
coming
yeah,
in
oh yeah.
from
Jerome's
behind.
coming in
Yeah.
the angles. Yeah.
What do you think of these workouts? Give us some
Yeah.
honest feedback. Do you think we're doing the right? Are we entertaining? Are we keeping people engaged? Are we giving a good
Absolutely.
workout?
You're giving a good workout and it's entertaining, which I
Okay.
think is hard to do.
Oh,
So, you can push yourself.
Yeah.
If you find that's you don't want to work out that part or you want to do something different, no, they are on spot, so professional. Bruce was like, "Where are you even going to shoot this thing today?" Like, They're really,
That's
good.
one of the reasons why I
Appreciate it.
don't want to do outdoor workouts is because I feel like what we're offering here is
you kind of
just,
lose the.
yeah, it's like the whole, like the feel, the vibe. I get it. People want to get out, they want to see people, but I also want us to really embrace this online platform, and we're going to continue to make it better. Whereas if we go outside, you're limited to 8 people, and
Well, logistically too. How do you play the music? How do you get your microphone? You know what I mean? How do we get
outdoor
drones
workouts
set up if we
to
still
be
want
honest
to do
with
it?
you, I started outdoors with my boot camps, and I stopped them very fast. Couple reasons. Number one, not guaranteed the weather. Number two, mosquitoes. Number three, like we've done classes and it poured rain on us when it was like 30 degrees, beautiful sunny, and all of a sudden, boom, torrential downpour, and everything gets soaked. You know what I mean? And it's just
On the floor.
yeah,
And
The ground.
Yeah.
The floor,
I mean, we had there was a good workout last year on the hill.
yeah.
But again,
Like once in a while.
you're kind of like on the ground. There's glass, like
Glass, there's
there's
needles. Like a lot of these, that's where a lot of like
Yeah.
junkies go.
No,
and
I just keep doing it. It's amazing.
That's good.
It's awesome.
Let me ask you this. How do you, and this is just because you've been married for a while.
oh,
How
the
do-
advice.
Yeah. No, not the advice.
Okay.
How do you make a relationship last forever? I guess that's advice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I think some of it is out of your control. I think that you. So are we talking to marriage? Your marriage?
Yeah.
I think some of it's out of control or out of your control in terms of what you bring. What you each have when you bring into the relationship.
Okay.
Sometimes people are just not meant to be together forever.
Yeah.
My boss is one of them, and I've had friends who there was a time in their life it was really great, but then they change.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes too, the younger you meet each other, the harder it is to go through all those things that you change, as a person,
I
or
agree.
your career, or having kids, or getting sick, or losing a parent. Some things you just really can't plan for.
Would you say getting married later is maybe a smarter idea these days?
I mean,
When did you guys get married?
I wouldn't have known that at the time. We've been married for 17 years, but I was in my 30s, and Bruce is 5 years older than me. So he was probably he was 40 when we had Declan. So
Okay. I feel if you wait until you get to be 40, I think by 40, a lot of your habits have been concrete, and they say
big time.
old dog, new tricks. Like I feel 40 is that number that if you're not married by 40, then you're both going to be so stubborn. And it's like when you move in together, it's a whole adjustment. And then when you get married, it's a whole adjustment. Then if you have kids, it's a whole new thing. And if you're set in your ways at that point, like you have your routine, like think about.
So you say getting married younger is smarter?
I think not too young. I think that 30s is that perfect benchmark, right? Like, I mean, I'm 37 now, and so Jed is 3. We probably could have had him when I was maybe 31, 32. Maybe a little bit more energy at that point, right? Because you need energy for kids, right? And
absolutely.
and but if I have a kid in my 40s, like another one, man, I'll be so tired.
What are you saying? 40 years old?
What's that?
Are you saying
I'm
40
saying
is old?
40 is pretty old if you're going to be having a baby.
Yeah, I think the kid factor
Yeah.
is where you need to consider it. But personally,
Yeah.
I think if you get married in your 20s, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. I'm just going to say that. I mean, I know there's always variables,
Yeah.
but this day and age, when you have so much access to whatever you want, whether it be to new partners or to see other people, and you're just going to be influenced by all these things, you got to get that shit out of the way.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to live a life a little bit before
Yeah.
you can.
And you haven't had, like, how many life experiences have you
Yeah.
had in those early years? So that really changes.
Yeah.
Changes a person. So
Did you ever do a traveling backpack Europe? Did you ever experience something like that?
no,
No?
I never did.
No.
Is
Would
that,
you?
is that a bucket list or not?
If I could
You're
go
hesitating,
back,
it doesn't
if I
matter.
could go back, I mean, I graduated high school and went straight into university, and then just straight to work. So
Yeah.
I didn't take a gap year. I didn't do that.
Gap year.
I think that
That's right.
I think a lot of parents are encouraging their kids to do that.
Gap year.
I think
Try and
that's.
figure out what you want to do, have a
Yeah.
bit of an experience, because stuff gets real really quick. When you have to work and you have a mortgage and you have a car payment and stuff. So
Yeah, and then it's
yeah,
hard to get that time
yeah.
back.
I never did the backpacking. I never had a roommate. I never lived in an apartment. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't do.
Some
that,
people
like,
don't have that though. like I never had that opportunity. My parents didn't say, "Hey, take a gap year." Like that didn't exist. I had to support them when I was like
Sure.
15, 16. I was a very mature 13-year-old. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
And
maybe that was a good thing. It made you mature faster.
yeah, I think so.
You know?
I've had to figure that, like I've had to learn how to scale back and enjoy it more. That's one of the things I've really worked on especially since my knee. Like it's to slow everything down. You know what I mean? Like that's the knee was my like kind of like twisting point, right? I've had a lot of things happen to me in my life and blah, but I would say the knee was the turning point because as soon as you took away that physical ability and like my whole life was built around being able to get up and go. And if something went wrong, then yeah, I'm on it. I can do it. I can cover that session. I can get up at 5 a.m. and open the gym if one of my coaches is drinking all weekend. And I've done that.
Yeah.
I wonder who we're talking about there.
Yeah, exactly. And I've done that, right? I get the 3:30 in the morning call. I've got anxiety, and yeah, and I just come and cover it. But you know, my knee when I was down and out and I couldn't move from my couch, that was kind of an eye opener. So let me ask you this: what is something on your bucket list? You have something that you'd like to accomplish, or maybe something, you know?
And take your husband and your kid out of it for a second.
Yeah. Just for me.
Just for you. Maybe a tough question.
It might be I mean, and I'm not.
What's something that you've done that you've knocked off the bucket list? Let's start there.
Something that I've done that I've knocked off the bucket list. Why don't I have a bucket list? I don't even have a bucket list.
It's tough when you're
great.
when you're
Maybe that just means you have a great life.
Yeah, I think when
I
you
don't
hit
know.
accomplishments, you've probably already seen them happening, and so you maybe didn't celebrate it appropriately. And I think a lot of high achievers don't celebrate their success as much as they should because them, like you're a planner like me, I've already envisioned, right? So like when my business hit 7 figures, right, a couple of years back, that was a big like accomplish to me, but I didn't celebrate it in any way. You know,
Yeah,
and so when I hit it, and it's like, okay, well, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
So
you're always pushing forward.
You're always pushing forward. So
Yeah.
that would be one advice I would give to somebody is that when you hit a accomplishment, like if somebody's trying to lose weight and you lose 5 pounds, you lost 5 pounds. Not, oh, I just lost 5 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's like the big response that we get from a lot of clients is it's never enough.
And maybe a bucket list is just, I remember one of the things that is very insignificant to many, but it was big for me, was the first time I ever walked 10 kilometers. And I'd just gotten into the fitness thing, and I was doing a lot of walking, but I was never committed to a really long walk. I didn't really know. I dropped my car off at my mechanic's, who was in Osmore Village. I live in the North End. Dropped it off. I had a dog at the time. Me and Isha drove there and walked back. Middle of the night, or not middle of the night, but late at night, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, whatever it was. It took me almost 2 hours to walk, but I did it, and I just thought, wow, that's a huge accomplishment when you've never done something. So
and now you do it all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
So it was so
Right.
significant then. Now it's like if I don't do it, I'm like a weirdo now, you know? So, but that was a bucket list thing for me. My that walking, you
That's
know.
awesome.
So let me ask you this question. If you've been together with somebody for 22 years, at that point, do you need to get married?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. And I've never had that experience, so maybe somebody could shed some light on that for me. But I think just being that partnered with that person is enough. Now, is that a woman thing? That might be another difference between women and men.
Getting married?
Women, there's a thing there.
What is that thing? It's a good point.
I think from what some people have shared with me in their situations, it would be because they've sealed the deal. Like they're really committed to me if we're getting
Commitment.
married.
Yeah. Security.
Security, which in the case I'm speaking about they ended up divorcing, 10 years later. So, trying to change somebody or drive somebody to do something they really don't want to do, or they're just doing it for the other person when it's marriage. Yeah.
I think in a relationship like that, you have to come to an understanding, and you have to factor in a couple things. So, like, if you guys are in your 40s and you're getting together, and like the guy is super nonchalant or the girl's I've seen it both ways, and you give your love and you clean you do the dishes, you cook food, you show affection, you're doing all this and that, and then like a lot of people expect that back, and it's like, well, that's just he or she is just not that person, and you have to take the smalls as bigs in some circumstances, and I think that's what it comes down to is when you do get married, it's you can't have an easy way out, right?
Right.
And I think that's kind of like how I see marriage is like, if you want to get out of a marriage officially, then you've got to go through some hoops.
I mean, still financially, you're hooped after.
Yeah, there's no easy way to
what's
marriage.
The three,
It doesn't matter though. Even if you're living
you're
together
still-
for 6 months, you're basically common law, and they're
Right,
entitled to everything
Yeah.
after that 6 month period. People don't understand what that, just
so
because a
financially,
prenup is not being able to take anything prior to you getting married or becoming common law. It's everything after they're still entitled to, unless you sign another document. But
yeah, the system makes you married. The system, regardless of whether
It
you
totally
did it
does.
or not,
whether
the
you have a
system makes
ring
you
or
married.
not.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to is if somebody wants that experience, right? Like somebody might want to experience. So if you've been together for an extended period of time, you know, like it was never something that like big wedding and white dress or whatever, right? Family there, like to me, it didn't matter, right? But some women or even some men want to have that experience.
Yeah. And I find that tradition really interesting, how generally it's the man that will propose. I mean, when we're talking about a man in a, separate sex relationship, but it's usually the guy that's asking the woman, but he's not the one like, oh, I really want to get married.
Yeah. Well, how is it that men make that decision?
Do you know any women who've ever asked their men to get married?
I almost did.
You almost did the asking?
I almost did.
Tell us.
I almost did. I'd had a couple of relationships that were just dysfunctional and gross.
Okay.
And I met Bruce, and it was just like, whoa, like really?
Yeah. And that's what goes. You got to kiss some frogs, right?
Totally,
to get to that proper
to
prince.
know that's exactly right. And I felt like, wow, I'm so lucky. And I'd had a couple experiences. My mom was very sick, and she knew he was the guy, and I was like, I don't know if he's gonna ask me. So I was planning it. I was gonna do it and it was gonna be something super cheesy.
Okay.
Like at a Gold Eyes game or something just brutal.
Yeah.
And then he did.
He did it before you did it?
He did it before I did it. And
Tell us what happened. How did he do it? And why were you yawning through it?
I know.
Were you yawning through
it? I'm yawning right now.
Here we go.
I think it's an oxygen thing. I don't know. It's something weird. But we purchased a home, our first home together. We purchased a home before we were engaged. And so I came home from work, and there's a table set up with a tablecloth and wine and flowers and a ring.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you saw the ring as soon as you walked in?
And I think it was May long weekend, actually.
Is that
this
coming
might
up?
be an anniversary right here.
Oh yeah.
It's coming up. And and so that I think that was in May, and my mom passed in July. So we didn't get married in time, but she knew. Yeah, she knew. So
here's a little tip for guys or girls who forget about anniversaries and special landmarks. Just do it on another holiday. Like me, easy. I know when I proposed. It was New Year's Eve. You know what I mean?
I don't remember when I did it.
Yeah.
But the actual marriage date.
Oh, I see. Plan it so it's a...
Yeah. Get married on January 1st. Boom, easy. Get married on December 25th. Boom, easy. You can never forget because you're doubling up, right?
All the technology in the world, and we got to use that system to remember. Or you can just put it in your phone, and it'll remind you for the rest of your life, right?
I got another difference between men and women.
So Sam Davidson's actually making some great points about getting in a relationship, is that you need to have a real conversation about expectations and life goals, etc. And I think that you can take that a little bit further is, I don't know the biblical or whatever it is, but I feel like you should move in together, like go rent an apartment and live together for a year, right? So it's like you date, you get serious, you get committed. Okay, it's just us two, right? These are kind of like the steps. Then let's go look for a place together. Then let's stay in this place and then live in there for a year, and then decide if this is going to be the right move, because things change, right? When socks are on the floor and dishes are not getting done, or you're sleeping in the same bed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a whole nother thing. And
No kidding.
that's a transition before you buy a house.
Yeah. I don't know if you need to go that far. I think you should put that person into situations, like a high-stress situation. Travel with that person. See how they handle themselves when they're missing an airplane. How do they react? Or when their luggage doesn't show up. Are they calm and cool, or do they lose their fucking marbles? And if they do, that's a red flag. Because what's going to happen in real life if the luggage is a big issue, right?
Yeah. I got some interesting news. Keep going.
Spend some money, right? See how that person spends money, because you and I would probably
spend your money.
Sure, or just spend money. Like, how do
Okay.
they spend money, right?
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that's probably one of the things that nobody takes too much into consideration is the way somebody spends. Because at the end of the day, what does everybody fight about in a marriage? Not everything, but it's money,
But money.
right?
And that's something we were pretty intentional about. We actually kept our finances completely separate for the first couple of years anyway of living together and even being married together before we did a joint account, and then we assessed, our income, who he makes more than I did at that time. So, then you just pay your portion to the groceries or the
So that's fair.
So
right?
it was fair. It
Yeah.
worked.
Open and honest
really
conversation
well.
about money. Sure. Debt. How much debt does that person have? That's one of the things that if Jen gets hit by a bus, I got to do this all over again. I want to see your bank accounts and how much you owe. I'm never doing that.
What do you make?
Yeah.
What do you own?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great question.
Because the system is going to set it up where that's going to become my problem, or mine is going to become her problem. So you might as well get it out of the way.
Yeah. And understand, like, when you get into a relationship, what actually is meaningful to that partner. Perfect story. I got a good friend, and this guy went into massive debt because he was trying to impress this woman with buying her gifts, like, and not just cheap gifts. I'm not talking like this guy would buy the biggest things, always paying for dinners and all this and that, and like, I don't even think it mattered to her. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't her love language.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I got some news here. So Mr. Rick, he proposed at his grandmother's birthday in front of his entire family. So that's a grand gesture.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
He made it a memorable date.
That's awesome.
Oh, I see. That probably just came up right there, right? Jen, are you typing right now? Thanks for reminding me when I did this.
At your grandmother's birthday?
So when is that?
Actually,
what day is that?
That's nice.
I don't. October 9th.
There we go.
I don't know.
But you were married January 9th.
January
right?
10th.
10th. We were the 7th. They were the 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Actually, it was good because what I had done is I'd asked all my family to come up with some crazy thing about being part of our family, right? So they all wrote in and do this and whatever, all the details. So I read it out loud in front of everybody, and then I said, "So Jen, would you ever want to be part of this family?" And she's like, "Oh, of course I would." And I was like, "Well then," and my cousin threw the ring at me because we had it planned, and she was sitting there. So I walked up to her. The ring came to me. I got down on one knee, and then she almost passed out. And then I asked her. So yeah, it was how it went down.
She was nervous, crying.
Well, I think it was such a surprise. She was like,
"Oh yeah,"
What?
and in front of everybody. I'm sure she loved that.
Yeah. And if you look at the picture, like I was just chubby, like I was when I was fat.
Redo.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was my story.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Any other stories, Jen? Feel free to type in.
Do we have any more questions?
No, that's it. That's
okay.
it. Yeah.
So the question I'm going to leave you with. I led you a little bit of time to prepare. Yeah. What kind of advice would you give your 25-year-old self? Well, we'll finish the podcast with that.
Okay, awesome.
What do you got?
Awesome. So I've thought about this. So this might be advice that I would give myself because I haven't done it, or I have done it and I want to share that.
Sure.
So the first one I always think of is, I wish I had wore sunscreen.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
And so Bruce is the sunscreen police in our house. Like, it's like you can't leave the house until you have it on. So I wish I'd started that a lot earlier.
Why?
Sun damage, just wrinkles and
really? Yeah, that's true.
freckles and all that.
I never wear sunscreen.
Well, you're naturally brown, so you just have that olive
skin.
Have
no issues. Got
yeah,
it.
like it was like baby oil and tin foil kind of thing. So
I was asking Rick about this. Why do you tan? Like,
we just look better with a tan.
A white person is not attractive.
You know what I mean?
He said.
You don't want to be blue rare. It's just gross. You got to have a little brownness to you.
It just evens out your skin tone. It makes you feel good.
Yeah. And your muscles look better. And your arms look good, by the way.
Sunscreen.
There you go.
Thank you. Don't be late.
That's
Carlos.
Great. Carlos.
Yeah, can you send him a DM?
Be late.
Can everybody send Carlos a direct message and say, please, for the love of God, will you show up 10 minutes early?
So
please send that to Carlos.
And you know what? Professionally, I'm never late.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm always like letting somebody know. But that's something I've learned is that's a big deal if you're late. Kind of sucks.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought of, and when I was 25, I didn't educate yourself.
Yeah.
Being smart is so cool.
It is.
It's so cool. But I think when I was that age, it was kind of like, even though I was going to university, but it was just fun. Like I didn't really know,
Bare minimum.
I didn't really know what I was doing. I did all of my education after I graduated university.
Me too.
So, yeah.
So can you define that? So, like educate yourself. Do you think just books is educating yourself, or, traveling could be educating yourself?
Yeah, I 100%. And that's something that we're working actually with Declan right now, especially with this homeschooling. Like what can we teach you? Let's teach you how to drive a year early.
Nice.
Let's teach you how to barbecue pork tenderloin. Like
I love it.
Stuff
Yes,
like that. Yeah,
yes.
totally.
Life skills, which we
workout,
don't get enough because
no.
like that's actually a great case in point is teach your kids life skills right now while they're home.
Yeah.
Give them a vacuum or go build a deck or whatever it is. Because after when they start school again, there's just no time. They're gone for 8 hours. They come home, they eat dinner, they do their own thing, and then next thing you know, you're doing the same thing. And on weekends, you just don't want to do anything but like play.
Except play. And so that's the one kind of positive thing we're taking from just not being in school is Declan and Bruce are going to build a little fence today. Like it's so
nice.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well,
you're good at remembering.
Be a good friend.
Yeah.
Be a good friend. I think friends are like family. It's the family that you choose. And I think I'm a pretty good friend. But in high school and early years, you can, that's not as important.
Yeah.
And be good to your parents. They do so much for you. They really do. And a lot of people don't have good relationships with their parents. So maybe that's an aunt or an uncle or a fake aunt or a fake uncle. But be nice to your elders.
Sure.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. I would add to that. I would say surround yourself with people that are not like you, different in some way, somehow, age, race, whatever. Learn different ways, learn different cultures, learn different foods, learn different habits. Like I think that's an important way to expand who you are as a person. And always listen to people older than you. I know he's always busting my balls because I asked this question. And regardless, actually, I shouldn't even say older. Anybody who's got some kind of a life experience that's different than yours, ask about it and learn about it. I think that's like free education right there. So
no kidding.
Yeah,
love it.
What else you got? What do you got?
Okay, I'm along the same lines as that. I didn't really start educating myself till after, right? And I would say is you can get in there. And the number one thing that for me was to go out and get experiences like what Rick said. And I always spoke to guys that were older than me or in business longer than me. And it put me 10 years in advance in business and in life. And I don't know. I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Like everything that you said, I would definitely go with. So it's hard to.
Great
add
advice.
to that.
We're going to end the podcast right there. So guess what? You got to dance it on the way out. And it's all over. Now you don't have to yawn anymore.
Yeah.
Hey guys, don't forget to share and comment this video, or comment and share this video, and go to our YouTube channel, Fit Club Media. Subscribe.